Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, and thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day to watch the video. Much appreciated. And today we're out on Table Rock Lake. We've been swimming with the gang today. Just got out of the water, and I've been wanting to do this video for a while. I wanted to do a video on how to use 2D sonars exclusively, and the way that I want to cover this is I'm going to show you guys how 2D sonar is really all you need. And I've been using straight 2D for, my whole career ever since they came out with it. Last year, I finished 13th in the points for the Bassmaster Open Angler of the Year race using nothing but 2D sonar. I didn't use any down imaging, side imaging, or forward-facing technology, all with 2D sonar. And I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to take you around the lake here, and I'm sort of going to show you how I, first of all, set up my unit, nice and simple. And I'm going to show you what some stuff looks like on 2D sonar, so you'll get a familiar picture with it if you're not real familiar with what objects looks like. So anyway, let's get to it here. Okay guys, before we show you some places on the lake, what everything looks like, I'm going to show you guys how I set up my unit, my 2D sonar, for the purposes that I use it for. First of all, on my main screen, I keep it simple. I got the depth, I got the temperature, and the time, and the speed. That's about all you really need on there. That's the way I set it up every time. And as far as how you set this up, the sensitivity, this is how I do it right here. I just basically go into my menu, and you can see sensitivity, contrast, lower range, chart speed. First thing I want to do is the sensitivity part. It has to do with how deep you're fishing. Obviously, if you're in super shallow water, you can tone it back a little bit. If you're in deeper water, you have to tune it up. But most of the time, I like to set mine between like 15 and 18. That's where I sort of got it right now. Contrast, I find a good, medium for that is like 20. I'll bump it up a little bit if it was a little bit deeper water. Always keep the auto range on there. And the chart speed, you want to set your chart speed, guys, at basically the same speed that you're idling. So, keep an eye on your speed, and if you're idling at 3 to 5 miles an hour, try to keep your chart speed on the same speed that your boat is. That gives you a really accurate reading. Okay, so now let's get out on the lake and look around at a few objects. Okay guys, the first place I'm going to show you is what a bluff bank looks like on 2D sonar. You can see it's 55 foot deep here. We got a mix of different stuff like here. Like right down here, you've got some deep fish. These could possibly be some deeper trees here. This right here is a tree that looks like fish, but it's actually a piece of standing timber. You got some isolated fish out here. The way these are positioned, they're probably carp or catfish. Doubt very seriously those are bass. Like that mark right there, that's not a bass, no way. The bass are going to be holding closer to the bottom. Now see this thing right here sticking up? That's probably a boulder, a big rock there. And above that here, school of shad possibly. Notice how the red is in the middle like there. That's a good indication. It's a school of shad. A little bit up above it, there's probably some small fish in it. Again, above it, larger fish. These right here are probably carp, catfish, something in those lines. So this is a typical bluff bank. A lot going on here. There's probably some mix of some spotted bass in there amongst the shad schools as well. Okay guys, here we have just a main lake point right here, as you can see up in front of us there. Normally what I like to do is like to start on the inside part of these points and work my way around it. And this is sort of what I'm looking for here on the unit. I'm usually anywhere between 15 to 20 foot of water. I'm just sort of keeping an eye out for what I see. Like here, I'm not seeing much activity at all. Everything's pretty clean on the bottom. So since that's the case, I'll start moving out a little bit deeper, to see if I can start picking up a little bit more activity out there. And these points, they vary in angles and slopes depending upon, their position, the water depth, that type of stuff. You can see here, everything's still clean on here. This would give me an indication this would not be a good area to fish. There's just not much activity. I'm not seeing any bait. Not seeing any sign of fish whatsoever. It's just a fairly clean bottom. So I'll keep working out deeper, until I see something. Right there, we start to see the first piece of cover. It's probably a big boulder down there, I'm guessing, some type of a rock. There we start picking up a little bit. That's either a shad school or a really big fish, like a big catfish, something like that. Starting to pick up a few more little blips here and there in the 35 foot zone. Still not much, so I'm on the end of the point. So I'm going to go out a little bit deeper on the point and see if we can pick out anything a little bit deeper. Fish may be even deeper out on this point. You know, Table Rock Lake, clear water, still pretty bare on there, not much going on. Starting to see, you know, a few fish suspended up here a little bit occasionally. There's a little bit of bottom cover, probably rock, that type of stuff. Now we're getting into, you know, this is right here, could be some deep shad, some bass suspended above it. That could possibly be a tree too. Now here is a good example right here. Here's a piece of submerged timber. This is a vertical tree right here, standing tree. There's probably some bass mixed in with that there, as you can see it. Starting at 60, rising to about 35 feet, coming up. Another small tree right there. It's real hard. That's one of the things in 2D, it's sort of hard to distinguish between the bass and the trees. That's when I might switch to, you know, like down imaging if I wanted to get a clearer picture. But I would fish that regardless right there. I would still like drop a drop shot, perfect depth, 35 feet of water. I'd probably get over that and put a drop shot in that. There's a good example of what a shad school looks like. That's just a ball of shad right there. Probably some little bit of fish underneath it mixed in with it. Just sitting out there suspended over the top of that. And that's sort of typical right there. You'll see these on these points, you'll see these shad that are just shad schools like this that are just sort of hanging out off the points a lot of times. And just a few scattered fish here. These are probably, again, carp, catfish, something like that. The way they're positioned, they're not really set up to be bass in that situation there. So in this case there, I wouldn't be real impressed with that point. Not a lot going on there. Okay, here's an example of what deep timber looks like in any type of impoundment that has submerged timber. You can see here, got timber starting out on the bottom. Got a tree right here, 75 foot, working its way up to about 50. Some pretty thick timber right here. Now this right here, I'm at the, you can see I'm sort of at the mouth of a cove right here. There's a point there. There's that point we just started around there, right in the middle of this cove. These guts like this, guys, are really good in the fall time of the year. You can see there's a lot of submerged timber right there. So what I would do in this situation is I would be throwing a spoon or a drop shot over the top of these submerged trees right here. This right there is a perfect example. See that right there? There's a nice shad school right on top of that tree. I can promise you there's some bass right there at the top of that tree. That would just be an excellent place for one right there. This is the type of area that the guys with the Livescopes clean up on, because they get out here in these deep trees like that and they can actually use that forward-facing sonar to see if there's any activity in these treetops. Just a prime textbook example of when Livescope would be good. But again, you don't need it, because I found these fish. You don't find them with Livescope. You can line up on them maybe a little bit better. But when I got into an area like this, I would still fish this on 2D. All I would do is I'd get out here in the middle and I'd start pitching a spoon or a drop shot around these treetops here, try to keep it in the strike zone. And this is something you could effectively do with 2D sonar and not need any side imaging, down imaging, or Livescope. Okay, here's another good example. This is just a steep bank right here. You got a 45-degree angle bank right here coming onto it. And one of the things I'm looking for here is I'm looking for bank angle, looking for whatever available covers in the area. Here you can see some standing timber in the area. And one of the things I'm looking for on the 2D sonar in this type of an area is I'm paying close attention to the irregular features on the bottom. You know, as far as if I can find any boulders, any, you know, smaller rock, that type of stuff. You can see here, see how jagged it is on top there? That means that's a rocky bottom. Like that right there, that's probably a large rock, you know, so that would be a good spot right there in about 15-20 foot of water. So one of the big keys that I'm looking for when I just go down the bank here is any of these irregular type of features here. And if you look at the bank, that can give you a good indication of usually what's out off the bank deeper. As you can see there, you got some good chunk rock, you know, you got you know, large rock, you got mixed rock in. It's a good indication. It's probably this bank right here is sort of the same way. Again, you got, you know, just some scattered brushing through here, a few fish suspended up above here with it. Got another shad school. There's a good example of a shad school right there, right above a tree. You can see right there, that's a little stump with some shad over the top of it. Nice standing tree top like that. So here's a prime example. What I'm talking about is why you can get away with 2D sonar. I'm gonna fish this type of stuff regardless. I don't care if I see the fish in there or not. I'm still gonna fish it. I can do it effectively with 2D sonar. Again, on the bottom right here, see the irregular and how jagged the bottom is? Those are some big rocks right down there, real jagged bottom. You can see that's in 15 to 25 foot of water. That's gonna be in a prime depth in this water clarity. So this break right here is gonna be really good. Excellent drop-off area there. So anyway, guys, that's just sort of a quick tutorial on using 2D sonar and how you can get by with it without having the down imaging, side imaging, forward-facing sonar. I'll do a lot more of a detailed video on this topic down the road a little bit, because I think it's a topic well worth discussing. Again, I got the kids and the family with me today. They're ready to get home, so I didn't have much time to do it today. And I'm just on Table Rock Lake, so you have sort of a limit on the type of stuff you can do. But I'll probably do some of this type of stuff on 2D sonar, like on a more shallow, dirty water lake, sort of show what I look for on that. But the point of this video is I just wanted to share with everybody, you know, what you can look for and what you can do on 2D sonar without having to have all the bells and whistles. I mean, there's just a lot of different stuff that you can do with that. And what I showed you today was idling with the big motor. But when you get on the trolling motor, it looks completely different. I mean, the images look completely different when you're slower. So for example, right here, as you can see right there, that is where I'm sitting here still on the boat. And this right here, this is timber with some fish over the top of it. But since we're going so slow, it's sort of distorted a little bit. So there's some stuff like that I can show you later on from fishing at the front of the boat. But just wanted to toss that video out there real quick for you guys. Hope it helps you. Hope it gives you a little bit better understanding what to look for on 2D. Again, don't feel like you've got to spend $20,000 on electronics. You can do everything you need to do with 2D sonar. Like I said, 13th in Bass Angler of the Year, Bassmaster Opens last year, nothing but 2D. Qualified for the Toyota Series Championship this year, nothing but 2D sonar. You can compete in tournaments without having all the other expensive stuff. So hope it helped you guys out. We'll be back soon with some more videos on this topic, and talk to you later.